Another attack or temporary ways for them to prevent another attack from happening. Leah, what do you have? It looks like you got somebody there with you.
Yeah, of course, we've seen a flood of Notre Dame and Georgia fans make their way here onto Bourbon Street. I got one of them now, Mike Meyer, and of course, the little Notre Dame fan, Brooke, who made their way here on Bourbon Street.
They were Brooke Meyer.
Yeah, they were chanting and took a moment to pray before they just are going to make their way down Bourbon Street. Mike, tell me, why was it important for you to return to Bourbon Street today?
I'm a lifelong Notre Dame fan. I've been coming to New Orleans. I live in Houston. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. My father used to do business here when I was growing up. And I remember in 1992, Notre Dame played in the Sugar Bowl, and my dad came here. I was a student at Notre Dame, and we spent 6 wonderful days here in this town. And we enjoyed the food, the music, the fun, the people, the life that is New Year's Eve here, Mardi Gras here, Jazz Fest here. I love New Orleans. And at 2 a.m. we were sitting over on that street corner with some of the older members of our crew enjoying the new year. And we woke up to tragedy yesterday. And when we just were having, we decided to stay. We could have gone home. It cost us some extra money to stay, but we decided to stay and to show today that we're going to live life, and nobody's going to stop us from living life, not a terrorist or whoever this was. And we're going to do this in honor of all the people.
Having some audio issues right there. That was Leah McNeil speaking to a Notre Dame fan who was visiting, as you just heard, from Houston, Texas. Unfortunately, also where the person who committed these acts of terror is from, had resided, and saying that they were going to stay, saying that they decided to just pay the extra money, go in a hotel room. And as Leah just mentioned, they said a quick prayer before they made that walk on Bourbon Street. And then they plan to go to the game. That game has been moved to 3 p.m. Again, the big story here, Bourbon Street, 24 hours after this attack happened, is now back open to the public, but it is heavily enforced. Amelia Strahan joining us now. She's been walking up and down the street, and it feels like, Amelia, every time we go back to you, the crowds get a little bit larger, but we're also seeing a very, very large police presence.
Yeah, the crowds are getting thicker and thicker. Just it seems like with every passing minute. We've been talking to some people walking by, and I actually talked to one woman that said she feels safe being here because of that law enforcement presence. I'm once again going to step out of the way just so you guys can get a look at how busy it's getting down here. On our way down, we have passed NOPD officers. We passed Louisiana State Police, appeared to be some federal officers as well. It's been almost on every corner we've seen some kind of police presence, and I do think after something so tragic, there is some, anxiety, and I think those officers and the hard work that they are doing is what is putting these people at ease. I don't think we would have the same response, this many people back on Bourbon Street so shortly after something so tragic, if it were not for the law enforcement, coming out here and doing a very, very difficult job. And of course, we are so grateful to them, but it is looking a lot more like Bourbon Street usually looks. We were out here yesterday and it was very, very quiet, very solemn. And now today it is looking a lot more normal. You can see these businesses have their doors open for the first time. There are sports fans coming down here. They say they're dropping by before the game. As you can see, you're hearing some Happy New Year. So there are people that are coming back here to enjoy the heart of New Orleans that has been shut off for a few days. Like I said, you can see these businesses are opening. We're hearing music for the first time. If you'll turn this way, you can actually see some of the Louisiana State Police. They've been out here speaking to people, very kind, very compassionate, and it is wonderful to see, like I said, this heavy law enforcement presence. You can check right over here. There is a state trooper car. No cars are down here right now. Now that's still blocked off to vehicles. but it does appear to be, very secure down here. I talked to Sheriff Hudson that said, that has been a large, goal of theirs, is to make people feel safe by adding such a large law enforcement presence. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the music kind of coming at the end of the street, but it is nice to hear that jazz music, those jazz bands back here on Bourbon Street, and to see people, getting back to life, as usual, as much as you can, of course, after something as horrific as what we went through just the other day. But like I mentioned, as soon as they took down that tape, as soon as they let people back on the street, people started flooding in. It did not appear to be much hesitation. The street's been open for, maybe 10, 15 minutes now, and you can just see how many people are walking down. Yesterday, the lights on these businesses, at least from what we could see, we were on Dumaine and Bourbon, they were off. Lights inside were off. As you can see, they're all back on. Here's some more law enforcement. I believe these are some NOPD officers. Of course, we're, again, so grateful for the work that they are out here doing. We're coming up on some of the iconic New Orleans restaurants. We've got Felix's, we have Galatoire's right here. Doors are open. So again, it's really encouraging to see it look like this. And we're going to actually go get a business owner right down here to tell us kind of what the last few days have looked like for them.
Yeah, Amelia, I was going to ask you that. Are we hearing from business owners that are along Bourbon Street who obviously were probably and likely opened still during the New Year hours after midnight? Are we hearing from business owners who are hesitant to reopen? Are we hearing some people say that this is just too soon for some people, or do they feel like it's just business as usual today, but with extra precautions in place? Amelia, actually, I want to turn around. Let me get your attention to something, Amelia. If you can turn around right now, it looks like there's I believe a business is doing a prayer. Can you describe what you're hearing right now?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see they are holding hands. And these moments are so difficult for everyone. And like you mentioned, people are opening their doors, but at the same time, it doesn't take away, the pain either.
You're looking live right now. This is a prayer. Yeah, you just saw right there, Amelia Strahan was speaking to us on Bourbon Street, and it looks like employees from inside of Felix's Oyster House, a very popular oyster house on Bourbon Street, came outside, and it maybe looks like they placed a plant by a pole, and they stood around and they held a prayer. Amelia, I can only imagine emotionally how some of the people who work here feel, knowing that they go back to work on a street where something so horrific happened.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's kind of what you're seeing, these people out here praying, because even though, they are opening their doors, this is so soon after that attack. Many of them, I'm assuming, had their doors open or may have been down there themselves. So we did just see that prayer take place right here in front of Felix's. They were holding hands. It appeared to be employees. They had some candles out here and just praying after something like this. Many people do find comfort in leading, on their faith. So it definitely, it was touching to see that take place as they do open their doors after something so difficult.
Yeah, I have to say that is something that is truly touching. And I know that people are returning to work on Bourbon Street with very heavy hearts. Even though they have opened it up back to the public, there may be a sense of hesitancy for some people. There may be some people who may be afraid to return to the street, or people who have been out here, who were out there rather when it all happened, and maybe too emotional for them to return. But to see that prayer happen live on air, truly emotional for the people who are working on that street, and I'm thankful that they're able to come together and to keep pushing. Amelia, I wanted to ask you another quick question. You said that you plan to speak to some business owners. Hopefully some people can speak to you, because I want to see, even though that Felix's and other restaurants have opened, there are some places still hesitant. Some places say they need a better mode of protection. Some places who I've heard from some business owners who are considering leaving the street. Are you hearing the same thing, or have you spoken to any business owners who say that they just think this is too soon?
You know, we had just gotten down here just a few moments ago, so we are still kind of getting the lay of the land. That would not be surprising to me at all for us to speak to someone like that, because, you know, we did just see that prayer take place, so it is a very emotional time. So while, you know, we just got down here and we haven't directly spoken to anyone like that, I can only imagine that there will be business owners feeling that way, because it is so soon, and there is a heavy law enforcement presence, like we said, but it was an incredibly tragic day for New Orleans and for Bourbon Street. So, you know, for someone to say it is too soon, or for someone to say, you know, I'm not ready, or I may want to go somewhere else, I think those are entirely, you know, valid emotions after something so incredibly difficult. Of course, we are going to be walking up and down for, you know, a while today, and we're going to be speaking to business owners and, you know, hearing from them. I talked to one business owner, and, you know, I was asking them if they would be willing to speak with us, and they said they would, but they couldn't put anything, you know, a hard time, because there is so much unknown right now, and they're going through so much just working with their staff as well. Many of their staff, I would assume, are hesitant about being back out here. You know, we saw this staff holding hands right in front of Felix's and praying. So there is a lot of unknown, a lot of this is uncharted territory for many of these people, of course. So I'm sure a lot of mixed emotions as we're out here on Bourbon Street, as it is a bittersweet time after something so difficult.
Yeah, I'm looking behind you, and I see that they have some fans who are smiling. And outside of the game, the Sugar Bowl that is happening today, there are plenty of people who come to New Orleans during this time of year to enjoy themselves on Bourbon Street and in the French Quarter. So I know that having the FBI confirm that terrorist who came down Bourbon Street acted alone, and they have recovered all of the IEDs they placed around the French Quarter, it may put a little people at ease. It puts more people at ease.
Yeah, I totally agree with you about that. I do think that piece of information coming out today, I'm not sure that Bourbon Street would be this lively if it hadn't come out. So I do think that put many people's minds at ease, knowing that those people were not involved with those placings of the potential IEDs. Now that we know that he did act alone, knowing that, you know, they're not looking for suspects still on the run. I think that is one of the reasons why this street is so lively, and it is more, you know, feeling a little bit more like normal, especially with those people heading into the Sugar Bowl today. I can't imagine, you know, how much that information probably put their minds at ease. You know, there are going to be large crowds, and of course we are confident in our law enforcement here, but it absolutely is, you know, it's an uncharted territory, like I said. So I do think that piece of information coming out has made people feel a little bit easier. We've seen quite a few sports fans, you know, in their gear, and many of them have said that they do feel safe enough to go to the game because of that law enforcement presence. So I do think that information that the suspect acted alone has made a difference in the feel here on Bourbon Street.
Amelia, I know that we're getting some updates about some possible other openings happening a little bit later today, but I have to ask you, Leah showed us the barriers that they put on the sidewalks as a temporary sort of barrier protection. Did you hear earlier from law enforcement officials what the permanent plan is moving forward? Or are they any closer to having a permanent plan moving forward?
Yeah, I haven't been able to get that information just yet. I spoke to Sheriff Hudson right before Bourbon Street opened. I'm hoping to speak to her a little bit more this afternoon as well. We have seen Sheriff Joe Lapinto from Jefferson Parish, of course. We've seen Sheriff Hudson here in New Orleans. So they are starting to give us kind of more information, what little information they can give us, because this is, still developing, so much unknown. So as far as that permanent plan, I don't have a hard answer for you, but I'm going to be in touch with law enforcement here on the scene, and I'll let you guys know whenever I have some more information.
All right, Amelia, thank you so much for that update. Continue. Hopefully you can find some business owners that are on Bourbon Street that will speak with you to give an update on how they're doing 24 hours after that attack. Just an update, 42-year-old Shamsuddin Bahar Jabbar ran over and killed 14 people. That was around that first block of Bourbon Street. And after all of that carnage and after an FBI investigation, they have cleared that scene, and we have been showing you throughout this live shot that it is back open. Some people, obviously, watching some of our people that are speaking in the chat, and some people are concerned about it being back open. We did see that there was a large police presence from the entryway. There is no vehicular traffic that is on Bourbon Street, or probably likely not even near Bourbon Street. And we're looking at other protections on sidewalks to stop cars from going on the sidewalk as that terrorist did. The police chief spoke a little bit earlier, Ann Kirkpatrick. Let's listen into what she had to say before this reopened.
At about an hour ago, the FBI and the governor and the mayor did a briefing. You probably have already heard about it, but I will repeat it just to be sure that we're all having the same message. And that is that the FBI's investigation, as of right now, is confident at this stage, based on the information they have, that this is a lone actor. Okay, this is a lone actor. Therefore, we are confident that we can open Bourbon Street and the rest of our city. So as soon as we're done with this particular conference statement to you, I am opening Bourbon Street to the public. What you see behind us is what we call hardening the target. So we have brought in heavy trucks. You will see when you go down Bourbon, you will see yellow, what we call archers, and they're along the sidewalk. And that would be to be preventive. If someone had, or if this particular terrorist went around up on the sidewalk, that's what that would do, okay? It would slow that down for anyone who thought that they could breach our targets. And so those are some of the main differences we are done in the quarter. Also, you are going to see an incredibly large presence of police. And we are, though, confident, but we want our community to feel confident and know they are confidently safe. And that's what we're going to do. So right now, I can declare to you that the Bourbon Street is open.
Chief, where did those archers come from?
Sorry?
The yellow archers, where did they come from?
Actually, we have them. I didn't know about them, but we have them. And so we have been able now to put them out.
Okay.
Chief, one question, please. Francisco Velos from Televisa Mexico. A lot of people worldwide have been watching since this tragedy happened, and they're being concerned about the people that they come here for vacation, memories, etc. Reopening a street that in almost 300 years of existence has never seen something as tragic as this. How do you balance between business as usual and having the memory of those 14 people who died there?
Exactly. And so it is about showing respect. Our mayor and our ecumenical community, and that's why we didn't invite you in, because we want to show respect And we gathered in front of the truck. We laid 14 yellow roses down for our 14 victims. And then there was prayer. And then in our culture here in New Orleans is music. And the band came, the second line band, and they played Fly Away. And with respect, we walked down this street to show honor and respect. And memories will always be there. People did not die in vain. As a result, we will be a safer city, we will be a safer country. So their deaths are not in vain, and that is our balance. But we will restore, we will return to normalcy, and we can do that and still show respect and honor.
Chief, are you upset that you didn't know about those archers, something that would have prevented this?
It's not a matter of being upset. This is not a matter of pointing blame anywhere. A terrorist is hell-bent on destruction. This man was going to do his best. And if it hadn't been on Bourbon, he was going to go somewhere else. So we have this, we're going to implement it, and end of story.
Chief Superintendent, in terms of
Last question, ma'am.
do we know when the thank you, sir. Do we know when the names will be released of all the victims?
Yes, as of last night, we were still trying to identify. The names have been released by the coroner as they have been known, and most importantly, to show respect to family. And so as a name is not to be released unless the family has first been contacted. And so I don't know that all names have been released yet. That will be done by the coroner's office.
Chief, any last words to citizens out there?
I'm sorry.
Any last words to citizens here in the city?
Yes, this city is amazing. This city is known for its resiliency. This is a city that is still impacted from 20 years ago with Hurricane Katrina. This city knows pain, but this city also knows how to recover. And they are waiting for recovery. And you can recover and not ever forget the scars of pain. And so that's where we are now, and we're going to begin the journey of recovery. And I am here to get us down that path. We have a plan, and I know that I can be confident about opening New Orleans and opening Bourbon.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
You just heard right there, that was New Orleans Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, and she has reopened Bourbon Street, as we have showed you throughout this hour. It opened maybe about 30 minutes ago. This is maybe 2 or 3 hours before it was initially set to reopen. And since then, they've only opened it after the FBI cleared their investigation on Bourbon Street, handing it back over to Mayor LaToya Cantrell. According to the FBI, this terrorist acted alone. There were no other accomplices. Initially, they believed that he did not act alone, reversed those findings after their thorough investigation, found he did act alone, and he did place IEDs throughout the French Quarter, unfortunately, in coolers. And fortunately, they found those IEDs that were placed throughout the French Quarter, all of those things caught on camera. And one of the things that we did hear Ann Kirkpatrick mention is the fact that there would be a heavy police presence. And in speaking with both our reporters, Leah McNeil and Amelia Strahan, we've seen police officers sometimes walking in 2s and 3s, walking from all branches of police. So we're talking NOPD. We saw some National Guard members out there. We saw state troopers that were out there. And apparently we're being told by Leah that JPSO deputies have a truck that is parked on the front of Canal and Bourbon. And we also heard from Ann Kirkpatrick, where she spoke about the fact that there is a heavy artillery truck. It looks like maybe a garbage truck or a construction truck that's parked in front of Canal and Bourbon. But again, Bourbon Street has been back open, and it seems like people got out there pretty quickly. Our reporter Amelia Strahan was out there a little bit earlier, and we witnessed something that was so emotional. Some of the workers inside Felix's Oyster House, a restaurant there that is very popular for its oysters, right there off of Bourbon Street, came outside and gathered in prayer on Bourbon Street right before they opened up to the public. And it was a moving sight to see, because while some people are outside on Bourbon Street, and they're smiling and laughing and prayerful and thankful that they did not have to be there for that attack. There are others who are in a somber mood, a more somber mood, and who feel a little regretful to see Bourbon open up so early. So it's a mixed bag of emotions right now. I want to go to Amelia Strahan, who's still on Bourbon Street for us. Where are you now, Amelia? And you're still seeing more and more people gather out there, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm here at Galatoire's now, and like you mentioned, definitely mixed emotions. We are seeing some smiling faces, but this is also still a really difficult time. We are not far out from that tragedy, so definitely kind of a bittersweet, moment. And I'm here with Melvin. He's the CEO of Galatoire's. Such an iconic New Orleans establishment. So I understand. You get this bittersweet, mixed emotions, probably, maybe more than anyone on the street.
Yeah, but we're happy to be here. It's when you have a team that's been together as long as ours has, we're celebrating 120 years this year. We have such a tenured staff. We're more comfortable together than apart, wondering what's happening. So when the call came to mobilize this morning, people started coming in, and we're open and ready to go. And again, just feel more comfortable being with one another than wondering what's happening. Just happy to see so many people in the street, so many smiling faces. It's great.
We were down at Felix's just a moment ago. There were some people standing around praying, some employees that did look, a little bit, a little hesitant about being back open. So have you heard anything from your employees about opening up so soon after such a tragic event?
No, everybody was ready to mobilize and get moving. Again, I think it's because we're so used to being with one another, more comfortable together than just sitting at home wondering what's going on. I have all the confidence that the support systems that are in place to make this safe and pick up soft spots are in place, and we're glad to be here.
And I want to talk to you about the law enforcement presence down here. I'm sure you have seen them on every street corner. How are you feeling knowing that it does appear to be secure?
I feel great about it. And, I applaud the NOPD for their efforts during the tragedy the other night. The way that the first responders reacted was, incredibly heroic, and the presence was there.
And after you heard about, what happened down here, as you're here, a lot. This is a big part of your life. I'm sure it was emotional. Kind of what went through your mind in that moment?
It was definitely surreal. We own properties in the French Quarter that are inside the perimeter. I live inside the perimeter that was established. So it was a little bit surreal, but I'm thoroughly impressed with the way that we have responded to reopen as quickly as we have. And I don't just mean the restaurant, I mean the city and the people coming out to support Bourbon Street.
All right. Thank you so much, Melvin. I really appreciate it. Best of luck to you guys. And,
Thanks.
Like he said, we're better together. That's how his employees are feeling. But of course, still such a tragic situation, still, just, a little bit out from that. So many mixed emotions here on Bourbon Street. But as you can see, the streets are filling back up. So we're going to keep you updated as the day progresses.
All right, Amelia, thank you so much. And as you can imagine, again, mixed emotions for some people. Some people, as we saw there, eager to get back on Bourbon Street, and some people hesitant to come back. But most businesses, as I've seen on our live shot, have reopened. We want to continue our coverage now. Lily Cummings joining us, and she is near Canal Street and on Bourbon as well. And Lily, I'm hearing some word that we could be closer to Canal potentially opening back up.
Sharice, that's correct. NOPD is out on Canal. They're clearing the streetcar line and trying to get some vehicles moved and things like that so that they can open riverbound and lakebound traffic on Canal. Now, they did say that it will take some time to resume those streetcar operations on Canal, but that is something that they're working on right now. Now, we journeyed from Canal onto Bourbon Street. We're standing at Bourbon and Iberville, and I just so happened to run into District Attorney Jason Williams. You're taking your first walk down Bourbon since this tragedy happened. Tell us just your thoughts and feelings right now as you kind of take it all in.
Really, I mean, it's a big moment when you think about the fact that we're not very far from just absolute carnage, just down from where we were standing. But the fact that we got to this point as quickly as we did, we owe a huge debt to the Federal Bureau of Investigation and their experts in counterterrorism. They have poured through volumes and volumes of data, license plate readers, security cameras, public safety cameras, social media posts, internet searches, bank records, to give us a pattern of life of this perpetrator who just brought hell to Bourbon Street, so that we would know whether or not he was a lone wolf or whether he was a part of the cell, which determines how we can move around today and whether or not we can have that great game that we're about to have. So this is a big moment. I'm a little bit emotional because my college-age son was on Bourbon Street hanging out with friends till about 2 o'clock in the morning. This thing happened at 3. So just how close I could have been to a number of parents I've talked to who were looking and not knowing whether or not their loved one was in the hospital getting care or here on this crime scene after that all unfolded. But it's a big moment. What terrorists want to do is they want to change the way that we live. They didn't attack Democrats or Republicans, they attacked Americans. It's our home, but they attacked America. And you know, there's nothing more American than college football. I played football at Tulane. This Georgia Notre Dame game is the one I've been looking forward to. It's more American than apple pie. And if they could have disrupted that, they would have won. Right? So big thanks to the FBI and their experts for helping us get as close to normal as we can and make sure that everyone is safe on Bourbon Street, at the Superdome, and throughout the rest of the city.
I'm so glad to hear your son's okay. Now tell us, you've been in some of these press conferences. What have you been briefed on so far? And how does the district attorney's office assist in everything that's going on?
You know, I mean, in a moment like this, it reminds me of World War II when Winston Churchill was trying to get British troops out. And he asked for anything that would float and that had an engine to help get that job done. And this is kind of what you see here. We already had a really good blueprint for collaboration. When the new governor came in, I worked really hard to try to find ways that we could collaborate with having the Louisiana State Police and having the Attorney General play a role in helping us improve on our public safety gains from 2023. So that was in place. And then we're able to augment that with the ATF and the FBI to come in and make sure that we're handling that twofold mission. Finding out if this was a sleeper cell or one individual, and making sure that this whole city was safe and all the Superdome was safe for our guests and visitors.
Here you are on Bourbon Street. That definitely sends a message. We have elected officials walking Bourbon Street, law enforcement walking Bourbon Street. There is a message of we are confident that it is safe. Do you feel confident that we are safe in New Orleans?
I do. I mean, I'm here. Obviously, let me say this. The New Orleans Police Department is the best police department in this country. They do not get a lot of credit. They are an undermanned and underwoman police force. We've talked about that a lot. We don't have enough. But when this incident happened, they ran to danger. They put themselves in harm's way to neutralize a threat to a number of people. They saved countless lives. This man had explosives, he had guns, and he used a truck. This truck weighs over 6,000. This was picked because it could cause the most harm. And the NOPD ran to danger. We've all heard instances of police departments freezing in moments of crisis, causing more loss of life. That's not our boys in blue. That's not our men and women in this uniform. They work very, very hard day in and day out to handle more large events than any other place in the country. And when terror came to Bourbon Street, they met it force with force.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you get on with your walk. Good to see you too. So as you all just heard, that was District Attorney Jason Williams taking his first walk down Bourbon, as so many people are right now, kind of taking in the scenes. Of course, we see a lot of tourists out here, a lot of people that will eventually make their way to the Superdome for that Sugar Bowl game. A lot of Georgia fans. You see a lot of people in red here behind me walking. But of course, Sharice, as you mentioned earlier, Canal Street, that is the goal, to reopen it. So we are actually going to reposition ourselves onto Canal Street to give you all an update on that and whether or not traffic is flowing on Canal. And of course, they're also working, as I mentioned, to get those RTA lines back up in service as well with streetcar tracks. Of course, it takes a lot of moving parts. You've got a lot of law enforcement out here that are trying to get those cars moved and things like that. So it will take a little bit of time, but we want to get back out there so that we can give you that update as soon as we have it.
Well, Lily, did you know if there was any damage to streetcar lines or in that area, or do we know if they need to be fixed at all?
No, it's just a matter of, Sharice, there's a lot of cars parked on that streetcar line. You know, as you know, over the last 24 hours, that streetcar line has kind of been a hub for law enforcement, a lot of cars parked along it. So it's just a matter of getting all of those moved. NOPD was in the process of doing that as we actually pulled up and parked earlier. So they're still doing that right now and just trying to get everyone clear and everything safe before they reopen those streetcar tracks.
All right, Lily, thank you so much. Hopefully we can talk about Canal Street being reopened very soon. Thank you so much for that update and interview with DA Jason Williams. As you just heard there from Lily and our reporters, those who are on Bourbon Street, it has reopened, and something you'll see on Bourbon Street, a lot of public officials, as you just saw, DA Jason Williams walking down and hearing a story of how he was almost a part of that tragedy with his son being on Bourbon Street maybe an hour before the attack happened, and also seeing multiple people, including Governor Jeff Landry, who was walking Bourbon Street with a flank of ranked officers and police officers earlier today to survey the damage. They walked up Bourbon Street, and apparently there were some religious leaders as well as Louisiana State troopers and some of the military police officers that they ordered here, maybe 100 officers that they probably have stationed not on just Bourbon Street, but throughout the French Quarter since the attacker attempted to place IEDs in other places. I'm sure that people are keeping a mindful eye, and of course the NOPD still out there after 24 hours of losing 14 people on Bourbon Street. At the beginning of Bourbon Street and Canal, now one portion of Bourbon Street open, Canal Street still closed to the public. We want to go to Amelia Strahan right now. She spoke to a business owner a little bit earlier about the businesses that open and captured a rather moving moment, having Felix's Oyster House employees come out to pray. And now Amelia standing with an employee right now. Hopefully, Amelia, one of these people that prayed with him, right?
Yes, this is Javari Mitchell. She said she's been working at Felix's for 13 years, and she was telling me a little bit about that prayer circle. Javari, can you just tell me, why did you guys decide to meet out there?
Just because a lot of our staff were scared, but we just have to keep going, pick up the pieces, and just pray for one another and let them know that, it's going to be okay. We're a work family, and we're just going to get through this together as a whole.
And you were saying that, obviously this was so tragic. What did you kind of hear from some of your fellow employees as you guys decided to open your doors today?
They were saying, we're not coming in, we don't know if it's safe. Nothing like this never happened before, so everyone was very leery about it.
And, why do you think they decided to come in and hold hands and, work today?
Like I said, just because we're a family and we know with family, rough times, hard times, we just have to stick with one another and just push through. I mean, it's unfortunate what happened, but we're there for those families as well.
And when you guys were praying, we saw a few candles. Can you tell me a little bit about those, why you guys decided to light them?
We decided to light 15 candles for the victims, for the lives that were lost, and just in remembrance of them. And we have them going on our bar so we can just remember it.
And you said you guys were going to try to keep them burning all night long?
Yes, ma'am.
And, I want to talk to you about, you said right after this happened, you told me you guys are kind of like a family in there. And you said management responded by making sure everybody was okay.
Yes, ma'am. They responded immediately. They were saying, just stay put, everyone check in, make sure that you're safe. I kind of didn't check in, so my GM kind of like reached out to me personally. He was like, hey, are you okay? I need to know. So it was real nice.
And, we've talked about the heavy law enforcement presence out here, but this was, really tragic. Are you nervous at all today?
I'm a little nervous, but I have faith, so I know that faith is going to get me through, and I can't live scared.
And, kind of tell me about, I want to talk again about.
All right, it looks like we're having some issues with audio, but you just heard there from Amelia Strahan. She's speaking with one of the employees that works along Bourbon Street at Felix's Oyster House, and that employee just told us that there were some employees who were concerned about coming in today, but she showed up today and they stood outside and had a very touching moment, praying together in front of their building and lighting candles for the 14 victims who lost their lives in that block of Bourbon Street just 24 hours ago. And we also cannot forget the fact that maybe 25 or so victims are still in the hospital right now after being injured, and some of them critically in the hospital, hoping to recover after being injured by that terrorist attack that happened at 3:15 in the morning as they were celebrating the New Year's holiday. Also, we spoke to Lily Cummings a little bit earlier. She told us that they potentially will open Canal Street very soon. We have our eyes on that, and that is closed off to traffic because it has become a hub for police officers and media staging area in that place. We also do know the FBI has cleared the investigation, all of this opening after it was announced today that the attacker was a lone wolf. They do not believe, as they initially believed, that he acted with a group of other people. 3 or 4 people that were sought by investigators were cleared in this investigation. They were near where he placed those IEDs, but they did not place them for him. And we also found out that fire that happened on Mandeville Street, that fire that happened 2 hours after the attack, was the home of where the attackers, the Airbnb rather, where the attacker stayed. And within that Airbnb, they found bomb-making materials. So all of this connected, and quick police work investigating by the FBI, ATF, and New Orleans police. We want to go back out to Lily Cummings, who is joining us now, repositioned on Canal Street. And Lily, is it much of the same as we saw yesterday, or what does it look like now?
Yeah, Charisse. Well, of course, there's a little bit different law enforcement presence out here today than you saw in the past few days. Right now, you have JPSO, you have state police, you have NOPD, so you still see all of those agencies, but kind of more strategically located throughout the French Quarter right now as they reopen Bourbon Street. Now, as you can see behind me, I'm going to step out of the way here. Canal Street is not yet open, but we are awaiting that. NOPD has been making sure that the path is clear. They've been moving some cars from the streetcar track and things like that. And NOPD did tell us that Canal will reopen lakebound and riverbound, but you will not be able to turn onto Bourbon from Canal, and you will not be able to make a left on Canal from Carondelet. And so those are the updates from the traffic perspective out here. Of course, they're going to be keeping Bourbon completely secure. There's a huge truck blocking off Bourbon Street right now. You also have not the bollards, but the metal, I'm sorry, I don't know the word for them, but it's a barricade essentially that is blocking off Bourbon Street. Russell is actually panning the camera here so that you all can kind of get a look at what that looks like. A lot of foot traffic on Canal and Bourbon, a lot of media, both local and national out here, and then again, a lot of law enforcement. You see state police here in front of us. We've also seen National Guard out here, and that big truck that you see, that is JPSO's vehicle actually blocking that off. So a lot of interagency communication happening. And, you know, we heard from Sheriff Joe Lopinto earlier today just saying that when you attack New Orleans, you attack the greater New Orleans area. And so they are showing their support by being out here assisting in any way you can. And obviously that is a big help, seeing just that big truck blocking off Bourbon Street. So of course you won't be able to drive down Bourbon, and then you also have those barricades blocking it off. Also, you heard from Chief Kirkpatrick saying that there was some yellow arch-type metal things that are placed on the sidewalk so that if anyone were to attempt to go around this big truck or these barricades, that they wouldn't be able to do so. So you heard that update from her a little earlier this afternoon. But obviously, like we said, huge police presence out here as they continue to work to safely reopen Canal Street. Obviously, that's a big thoroughfare for us, riverbound to lakebound, so they want to see that reopen so traffic can move safely, but they want to make sure it's done in the right way. As we arrived earlier this afternoon, we saw NOPD assisting folks getting off the streetcar tracks. A lot of people were parked up there. We still see some East Jefferson Levee District Police parked up on the streetcar line. We've seen a lot of different law enforcement agencies parked up there, so they're just trying to get things kind of situated in the way that they need to reopen Canal. But again, you won't be able to make some of the turns that you're used to. And honestly, if you don't need to be down here, just avoid the area today. I mean, it's still it's still a somber area, and you have a lot of tourists, so it's congested, it's somber, it's not a place that you want to be if you don't have to. So this is, you're looking at right here, Canal lakebound. This is the direction we're looking at, and of course waiting to see these streets reopen. Sharice?
Some people also waiting to see those streets reopen. And Lily, just to, we heard Ken Kirkpatrick earlier talk about what the people who do visit Bourbon Street will see temporarily right now. They're called archers, and it's a type of barricade, but apparently we're being told they weigh about 7,000 pounds. So archers are being placed on the sidewalks. We know that that's a temporary solution. Lily, do we know any permanent solutions, or are those meetings still happening?
Hey, Sharice, I just want to give you a quick update. As you can see here, traffic is rolling. This is traffic that is headed lakebound on Canal that you're looking at. They literally just moved those barricades as you were speaking there, and those cars are moving down Canal. So a little bit of a normalcy coming back to this area in the French Quarter. Now I'm going to look to my right here, and they did the same thing heading riverbound. Okay, so you have traffic now flowing both lakebound and riverbound on Canal Street. Still haven't seen the streetcar return to Canal Street. There are still a lot of vehicles parked up on the neutral ground, so that will probably take some time. But as of right now, we have a lot of people driving down Canal Street. We even saw some big tour buses heading out earlier. So a lot of people moving around in this area once again.
Right,
and I'm sorry, Sharice, I didn't catch that question that you threw at me.
No problem at all. We have a live look right now. You just saw some vehicles. They removed the barriers and opened up Canal Street, and so we have traffic starting to flow on both sides. Is that right, Lily?
Yes, traffic is flowing both directions on Canal, both lakebound and riverbound. And like I said, there are some restrictions. NOPD let us know that you will not be able to obviously turn onto Bourbon from Canal. You will also not be able to make a left on Canal from Carondelet. So a few restrictions there for folks. And of course, that's to be expected that they're going to have Bourbon remained blocked off and only open to foot traffic.
All right, Lily, thank you so much. You saw it here live, both Bourbon Street, now Canal Street, open in both directions, of course, with some restrictions as we recover 24 hours after a terrible terror attack on Bourbon Street killed 14 people and ended with the suspect dead. We will continue to cover the aftermath of this terrible attack in our special coverage at 4 o'clock here on WWL Louisiana. In the meantime, we send you back to your regular programming. Thanks for joining us.
This has been breaking news from WWL Louisiana.